recap of what we have discussed. Yeah, we have discussed about capacity planning. It is like the activity of determining how many servers we need and what is their capacity. That is nothing but capacity planning. The activity of determining number of servers needed and their capacity that could satisfactorily serve the application end user requests. User requests have to be served, like have to be serviced, and how many servers needed to do that and their capacity. It is nothing but capacity planning. And we have seen what is meant by data center. And when we try to manage our servers on our own, then it will be the complexity of management will be more. Okay, this is where the point of using third parties in order to manage these all data centers. And what user will do is whatever the request is received, that will be forwarded to service providers directly. Then service providers will respond to it according to the application developer agreement. Okay, there will be a legal agreement between infrastructure service providers and consumers, service consumers. There will be a legal agreement. That legal agreement we call it as SLA, service level agreement. This is one of the examples. That is, server machine will be available for 99% of the key business hours. This is one of the type of SLA that we can have based upon the availability. Like that, how much computing power it could able to offer. These all things will be agreed before establishing or before hosting actual application. This is what will be happen. And there will be some issues, like if you give your application to one particular server where we will be hosting, okay, that server could able to respond to the user request which are received for your application, that is fine. But suppose if I hire a server, if I try to understand this point, if I hire a server for my application to host, okay, and the capacity of the server is more than what I require at an average, then that server utilization will be limited. Why? Because I am hosting my application in the server, and so I am hiring that server. That although that server is having the capacity to host several other applications, or I may not use all the time the server entirely, server capacity entirely. Then what can be done is co-hosting of applications. That is, whenever one particular application is not requiring the server utilization, availability, then what we can say, we can host another application at that particular time. That is nothing but co-hosting applications with complementary workload patterns. In the sense, whenever one application is not requiring the server, then other application can get access. That is what co-hosting applications. Complementary in the sense, one is not there means another one could able to take the server charge. That is what complementary thing. Yeah. Here we have seen with respect to service consumer, service providers point of view, how it will be. We have seen that is first two, that is A and C, will give you the picture of whenever we are not allowing co-hosting, these two, B and D, will give us the vertical view of whenever the server is allowed to co-host. That is, more than one application we could able to run on the same server. That is nothing but here this is a user's point of view, that is a consumer point of view. This is a vertical service provider point of view, service provider will come to know whenever application A is not requiring the server access, server access, then it can give to application B, and vice versa. So this is known to service provider. Whereas for server vertical service consumer will not have that knowledge that this capacity, what is the capacity, and when we are allocating, when other application is using this and all will be hidden from service consumer, whereas the service provider will know this is the scenario, that is whenever A is not requiring, B is getting, whenever, and vice versa. This is about co-hosting of applications, and this is a service service provider point of view. This one is service consumer point of view. Next, whenever we use this kind of co-hosting, there will be some challenges like security and the performance. These two have to be guaranteed. This is these are the challenges. In order to overcome or to address these challenges, we will make use of virtualization technologies. In this particular one, we will make use of virtual machines. These virtual machines are then mapped to physical machines. This is what the solution that we can arrive to address these challenges, called security and performance isolation. Now, while allotting these system resources to virtual machines, there are two types of modes. One is conserving mode, another one is non-conserving mode. Conserving mode means whenever we have some resources, if the request containing the demand for more number of resources than allowed quota, then those requests will be denied. That is a conserving mode. Non-conserving mode means whenever some resources available in other virtual machines, even the request containing more demand for more resources, that can be memory or computational power, then from other virtual machines we could able to get it. Okay, that is what non-conserving mode. See here, in the non-conserving mode, spare resources that are not utilized by co-hosted virtual machines can be utilized by the virtual machine needing extra amount of resources. This is allowed in non-conserving mode, whereas in conserving mode, simply whatever the resources are requested, if those are available, those will be served. If more than the specified quota is demanded or requested, then automatically that request will be denied. That is what the conserving mode. Here you can see, in the conserving mode, a virtual machine demanding more resources than the specified quota cannot be allocated, simply denied. Allocated the spare resources that are remain unutilized by the other co-hosted virtual machines. Even though other co-hosted virtual machines are having some resources which are not utilizing by them, then also we could not able to allocate those for the request of users. Okay, if those are beyond the specified quota. These are the two modes: conserving mode, non-conserving mode. Next, coming to the SLO management. What are SLO? SLO is nothing but service level objectives. In general, we will be having throughput or this response time. These kind of things are SLO, service level objectives. There are two traditional approaches to handle this SLO management. The one is load balancing techniques, another one is admission control mechanisms. Load balancing, we have seen there is a hierarchy like class agnostic and class aware. This is about client type and request type. Both are unknown, then class agnostic. If both are known, then both are, either of those are known, then it will come under class aware. That is, if client is known, client type is known, then that will come under client aware. If the request type is known, then we can say content aware. If both are known, that is client type is known and the request type is also known, then we can say client plus content aware. Like this, this is the taxonomy of load balancing algorithm. Yeah, this we have seen. Next, Coming to admission control mechanisms, here we are having the scenario like whenever maximum load, peak load has reached, then what is the approach to admit new requests, admit what you call new service requests given by the service consumer? How we can do? There are two types of admission control mechanisms or the algorithms. One is request based, another one is session based. Request based admission control reject new request if servers are running on their capacity. That means whenever peak load is there, then other request will be rejected simply. But what is the disadvantage of this approach is, whenever client session may consist of multiple requests, some are already what you call processed, other related request is there, simply it will be denied. Then what will happen? Whatever the request already processed, that work will be wasted. That is the disadvantage of request based application. Okay, consequently some requests are rejected even if there are others that are honored. Others that are honored. That means some are already processed. Still, some request, if other requests also processed, then some meaningful job can be done. But if others what you call rejected, then whatever the work we have done, that will also be wasted. That is what the disadvantage of request based algorithms. Whereas coming to session based algorithms, here we will be having some designated time. Within the time, whatever the request will be received, those all will be admitted, so that all related request can be processed, can be admitted to process in general. That is what the advantage of session based algorithms. Okay, this is about admission control mechanisms. Next, coming to types of SLA, that is a service level agreements. There exist two types: infrastructure SLA, application SLA. Actually, this is the what you call major components of SLA. That means every SLA, irrespective of the type, we need to have several components in it. One is a service level parameter metrics, another one is function and measurement directives. Just 1 second. Yeah, this is these are the key components of SLA. Yeah, sorry for inconvenience. Yeah, see here, infrastructure SLA, application SLA, both are the types of SLA. This is the example for infrastructure SLA. Here we are having the components like hardware availability, power availability, data center network availability, backbone network availability, and what you call outage notification guarantee. That means if a server is not available for certain period of time, then that has to be intimated to the user. And next, service credit for unavailability. Like if some service is down for certain period without a prior notification, then that has to be paid to the application hosting, what you call, who is hosting that application. To that party, this service provider has to pay some amount. Why? Because as a penalty they have to get it. Okay, this is a these are the several terms and conditions to be negotiated before hosting our application. Like how much time the hardware will be available, power will be available, what is the uh, network availability, what about unavailability? If it is not available as agreed, then what is the service credit that you will pay back? These all are these all should be negotiated and should be part of this SLA. Okay, these all are related to infrastructural things. That's why this particular SLA we can say it as infrastructural SLA. Yeah. Next, coming to the second type of SLA called application SLA. Here we are having sorry. Okay, this is application SLA. Here we are having service level parameter metric, which, for example, website response time. How much time it will take to respond to the request given by the user. Okay, for example, 3.5 seconds per user request, and the latency of web server is like a maximum of 0.2 seconds per request. This is latency of web server, and similarly latency of database, average latency of web server. These all are some of the functionalities which have to be incorporated in application SLA before agreeing on SLA, before agreeing to host our application. These kind of negotiations needs to be agreed, and it has to be included in the SLA. Okay, service, as we have seen the format for SLA, like service level parameter metric, function, measurement directives, all these are key components to be included. In addition to this, we can have several other as well. Okay, this is about application SLA. Next, coming to the life cycle of SLA. In this, we have seen basically 5 steps: contract definition, publishing and discovery, negotiation, operationalization, and decommissioning. Contract definition is nothing but what are the set of service offerings and corresponding SLAs. Okay, these will be defined. This is contract definition. Some templates will be there. Just individual SLAs have to fill those entries. That is nothing but contract definition. Next, coming to publication and discovery, these individual SLAs will be advertised, will be made available as a catalog. Using this, user has to choose which one can be what you call, can user could shortlist what are the SLAs which are applicable to us. In the previous class, we have discussed about this fiber net. This internet can be offered by several companies with several packages. All will be available as catalog. Out of those, like which one is feasible to us, those all will be shortlisted, and this will be done in this second phase called publication and discovery. Once a service provider advertises the catalog, then customers should be able to locate the service provider by searching the catalog. and the customers can search different competitive offerings, like same service can be offered by several service providers, isn't it? So these all will be what you call searched by customers, and who whatever are feasible to corresponding customers, those will be shortlisted, okay, for further negotiation. This is what you call discovery. Publication is nothing but advertising the catalog by several service providers. Next, coming to negotiation, once the customer has discovered a service provider who can meet their application hosting need, SLA terms and conditions needs to be mutually agreed, isn't it? So before signing the agreement for hosting the application, some terms and conditions needs to be agreed. Okay, for a standard, here we are having standard packaged application, customized applications. Standard package application, which is offered as a service, this negotiation may need not be done. It's like suppose for 3 months there is a package for internet, we have to pay, let us say, 1500, that is fixed. Now we will take that standard package, then we don't need to negotiate anything, we don't need to ask anything. But for customized applications, like we wanted to host some application where it's like we have discussed in the previous class, we have established an organization. For that organization, several computers will be there, we need to get internet access to all the computers. Okay, then we will negotiate with the company that or the service provider that these many connections we need. Okay, we don't want individual connections to each system. At a time, 5 connections needed, or you give this much bandwidth. Within that bandwidth, some maximum of 10 connections, so we could able to do such kind of facility you give. This is nothing but customized application. These kind of things we should negotiate. If a standard pack is there, then we will subscribe it, then we can use it. But some customized applications will be there where we need to negotiate terms and conditions. Got my point here? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this negotiation will take place in the case of customized applications. Next, coming to the fourth phase in life cycle of SLA, that is operationalization. Actual operation will be done here. Actually, this SLA operations consists of SLA monitoring, accounting, and SLA enforcement. These are the 3 operations which consists of SLA monitoring, SLA accounting, SLA enforcement. These all we have seen in the previous class. Next, last phase is decommissioning. This decommission is nothing but termination of all the activities which we have performed to get that particular SLA done. Like performed under a particular SLA when the hosting relationship between the service provider and the consumer has ended. Whenever that agreement has ended, that is for a limited period we have agreed, and whenever that is done, then a termination of all the services or the facilities which we have initiated. But while doing this, what we have to do is, whatever the data that we have with the service provider will host application, so some data will be generated at service provider end. Whenever this decommissioning is being done, whatever the data it is having, it has collected, that entire data has to be shifted to the service consumer properly. Okay, that is the main intention behind this phase, that is decommissioning. See here, SLA specifies the terms and conditions of contract termination and specifies situation under which relationship between a service provider and service consumer can be considered to be legally ended. After submitting all the required document, all the required data to be to the service consumer, then legally it can be ended. This is what decommissioning. So these are the 5 phases that we have in SLA life cycle: contract definition, publishing and discovery, negotiation, operationalization, which consists of 3 things. Next, coming finally decommissioning. Now coming to our discussion, this SLA management. Actually, in order to understand these all, we need to have some introduction about the previous thing. That's why we have discussed all those things. Yeah, SLA management in cloud. Here we are having 5 phases again. SLA management consists of 5 phases. That is, first one is feasibility, second onboarding, then pre-production, production, and termination. These are the different phases that we have in SLA management. Here, if you consider a feasibility, the name itself indicating whether, suppose you consider one service provider. You are the service provider, and I am the service consumer. I'll come to you and say that I require some 10,000 system, 10,000 servers to host my application. This is my requirement. Try to understand. You are the service provider and I am the service consumer. Okay, I'll come to you and tell my requirement that 10,000 servers needs to be available in order to host my application. Okay, this is the scenario. As a service service provider, what you will be thinking, whether you are having those many servers to host the application or not, that you will be checking, isn't it? Before doing anything, you will be checking whether that is whatever the request received from service consumer is feasible to you or not. This is what the what you call checking will be done. Next, another thing is, I will be saying, like, as a service consumer, I'll be saying like this much speed of CPUs needed in each and every server. This is the computational power of each server should be this much. Like that, I will give another request to host my application. Then again, you will be checking whether it is feasible or whether it is available or not. That you will be checking as a service provider. Okay. Next, after that, like I'll be saying one more request, that entire this hosting of applications needs to be done within some let us consider within 50 lakhs we should able to complete the hosting. Okay, within 50 lakhs only you should able to host. This is another requirement. Again, that has to be considered whether it is feasible to host or not. As a service provider, you need to check infrastructural feasibility. Understand? Infrastructural feasibility, then technical feasibility, and of course accounting feasibility. These all are feasibility things which will deal with checking whether the request processing or hosting the requested application is feasible to you or not. As a service provider, this has to be done. This is the first phase in SLA management. Okay, so here you see feasibility analysis, that is the first one. Here we will be conducting 3 kinds of feasibility. One is technical feasibility, infrastructural feasibility, financial feasibility. These are the 3 things. Once these all feasibility checkings give positive things, then only we will go to the next one, that is onboarding. Is it clear, ma, till this point? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So after checking these all feasibilities, we will go to the next one. Here you can see in the diagram. Time is 10 to now people are joining. Okay. See, feasibility analysis. Here customer application will be obtained by service provider and perform technical feasibility. If technical feasibility is not there, just decline application. Okay, we cannot host that application. Similarly, what you call infrastructural feasibility will be done. If it is not available, if it is not feasible, simply decline the application. Of course, that should be included here, like this only. Another diamond. another condition box, perform infrastructural feasibility. Next, third one is perform financial feasibility. If financial feasibility is not there, then also we will decline the application. This is feasibility analysis. Is it clear? Yeah. Now, after this, we will be having the second phase. Of course, the second phase is onboarding application. Actually, in the feasibility, only the basic feasibility of hosting an application will be carried out. However, detailed runtime characteristics, that means when we host the application, then what are the power requirements and RAM requirement, primary memory requirement and the secondary memory requirement, all these things will come, will be considered in onboarding activity actually. Feasibility in the sense, general basic feasibility will be checked in feasibility study, that is feasibility analysis, that is first phase. In the second phase, actual runtime characteristics, detailed runtime characteristics will be examined. Okay, that is in onboarding application, onboarding of application phase actually. So in this, what will be done is packing of the application for deploying on physical or virtual environments. Application packaging is the process of creating deployable components on the hosting platform. Like some deployable components will be creating, that is nothing but application packaging, that is part of the onboarding activity. Next, these packaged applications directly execute on the physical servers to capture and analyze the application performance characteristics. These will be executed directly. And here the main point is functional validation will be performed. It allows the functional validation of customer's application. Like some functional requirements will be having, whether those are meeting or not, that will be, that could able to sense here. That's why it consists of this onboarding activity consists of detailed runtime characteristics. So and that functional validation will be performed, and this application is executed on a virtualized platform, and the application performance characteristics are noted. Like this, some runtime characteristics will be noted. Even based on the measured performance characteristics, different possible SLAs are identified. Till this point, what we have seen is first application packaging will be done. Next, these packaged applications are executed directly on the physical servers to analyze the performance characteristics. These similarly, these will be executed on virtualized platform, and application performance characteristics are noted. These, whatever the characteristics noted, those will be analyzed based upon these different SLAs, service level agreements are identified. Okay, try to understand these steps. First, we will be packaging the application, then we will host on physical servers and virtualized servers, and corresponding performance characteristics will be noted. After noting those performance characteristics, we will be analyzing in order to form several SLAs. If you want this kind of thing, this is the cost incurred, this is the availability, this is the what you call maintenance, downtime. All these things will be framed accordingly, whatever the characteristics identified in previous steps. According to by processing these or by analyzing these, several SLAs will be formed. Okay, based upon these SLAs, here after forming the SLAs, actually the step will what you call several policies will be what you call framed by service provider. This is interesting thing here actually. Till this point up to D we'll see. After that again we'll come back to E. See in this yeah, this is the thing. Once customer application is received by the service provider, at feasibility analysis we will perform technical feasibility, infrastructural feasibility, financial feasibility. Once all these are judged to be feasible, then only it will come to onboarding activity. In this onboarding activity, there is one thing called package application. Application packaging will be done. That with there we will be generating deployable components directly, those can be executed independently. Such kind of deployable components will be formed. Then now we will be analyzing performance by hosting that particular deployable components onto physical servers, onto virtualized servers. These two will be done in performance analysis. Some performance characteristics will be noted. Then correspondingly, some SLAs will be formed. Whether this SLA acceptable to customer or not, we will judge. If it is not acceptable, then we will decline the application. We can decline the application. If it is acceptable, then estimate cost for each SLA. So, and whether this cost is acceptable to customer or not, again we will check. If it is not acceptable, choose another SLA. If we will be giving based upon the characteristics, we will be forming SLA, and that we will check with the customer. If it is not acceptable, then we will decline. Otherwise, we will estimate the cost, and again we will give it to the customer. If that cost is acceptable to the customer, then it is done. We will go to the next step. Otherwise, we will suggest another SLA to choose. Again, and this process will be repeated. Once this SLA, all SLAs are not acceptable, then we can say decline application. This is up to whatever the steps we have seen in onboarding activity. Yeah, that is up to D. Next, coming to E, once the customer agrees to the set of SLOs. What are SLOs? Service level objectives are nothing but throughput and response time. So these SLOs and the cost. Once a customer agrees to these, then MSP starts creating different policies. Several policies will be created by MSPs, that is managed service providers. Actually, MSP stands for managed service provider. It will create different policies required by the data center for automated management of application. That is, whenever it's not like suppose in SLA there is a statement called 99% of the time server will be up. If this is the statement, and whenever it is down, certain credit has to be made. All these things were agreed. It is on paper, but in order to make realization of these terms and conditions, actually what we need to have is automated management of these all applications needs to be done. This will be done by framing several policies. Try to understand the point. On paper, we have agreed for certain terms and conditions. Now, whenever these are not meeting, then what has to be done? These are the policies. Like whatever the rules are there, to establish those rules, we will be maintaining, or we will be framing some policies. Okay. What is the advantage of framing these policies is automated management of these applications. Okay, whatever the rules we have framed, automated management of these rules will be done by policies. There are three types of policies exist. One is business policies, operational policies, second one, and provisioning policies. These are the three types of policies which will be formed after SLAs. Yeah, these coming to the first one, that is business policies, help prioritize access to the resources in case of contentions. Contentions are nothing but we can say one resource we have. You can consider COVID vaccination. You can consider COVID vaccination. One resource is there, that is vaccine. Okay, that vaccine will be needed by so many people. So there is a contention, isn't it? Like trying to access the same thing by several users. This is the contention. Then prioritize access. It's like initially they have given access to medical people, or this frontline warriors, they called, right? Frontline warriors. To them they have given priority. Afterwards, some some normal public who are having age more than 60, more than 80, something like that, they have given a priority. So similarly, business policies, it's like whenever there is a contention, what is the priority access? What is the policy to give the priority? This will deal with such kind of contentions. That is business policies. Next, see here, business policies are in the form of weights for different customers. Some weights will be given to customers. Based upon the weight, the priority can be assessed, or group of customers. Yeah. Second one is operational policies. Operational policies, actions needed to be taken when different thresholds or conditions are reached. Like, for example, certain threshold is reached. Like for one particular day, these many vaccinations should be done. That vertical, that particular threshold is reached, then whether we will allow it or not, whether we will extend it or what we will do, whether time has to be extended or whether we will allow up to the people who have joined to the queue within the specified time. Such certain kind of policies we will be framing in order to take necessary actions whenever certain conditions met. These are operational policies. Okay. Next, and this is of this kind of form, like operational policies OP are represented in the format of a collection of condition action. Whenever this condition is met, then what is the action to be taken? Okay, like this, we'll be having several conditions and corresponding actions will be having. This is the format of operational policy. For example, here you see average latency of web server is greater than 0.8 seconds. Then average latency is raised more than 0.8 seconds, then scale out the web server tier. Okay, this is the action given. So whenever this condition met, automatically this action will be taken place. Okay, this is one of the examples of operational policies. Next, coming to the third type of policy, that is provisioning policy. Provisioning policies help in defining sequence of actions corresponding to external inputs or user requests. Provisioning policy, here also we'll be having, if the request is this, then what should be the action? Here you see, this is the condition. If this condition is met, then action. Here, depending upon the user request, certain action will be taken. For example, provisioning policy to start a website. This is the request from user. Then what are the actions to be taken place? Like here you see, start the database server, start the web server instance 1, followed by start the web server instance 2, and so on. These are the list of actions to be performed for given user request. This is a provisioning policy. This is example of provisioning policy. Like this, we are having three different policies. One is business policy. Here we will be having priorities. How we will give priorities based upon the based upon the weights given to different customers. We can prioritize the access of resources. Next, second one, operational policy. Whenever a certain condition met, automatically actions to be defined, those have to be performed. Operational policy format is this one, that is collection of condition and action. Next example is this one. Next, provisioning policy, the format is like this, collection of request comma action. When we will do this one is whenever user request or inputs several external inputs, then what are the sequence of actions to be performed? That is request received and actions to be performed. Example, start a website. To start the website, we have to start the database server, web server in 2-3 instances. Like this, several steps will be there. Those all steps will be part of action. Okay, this is about framing policies. Okay, once SLA is, here you see, once different infrastructural policies needed to guarantee SLOs mentioned in SLA are completely captured, then onboarding activity is said to be completed. This is article preview. It's like we have seen several steps in onboarding activity. One is application packaging. Second one is performance analysis, like validating, that is functional validation by executing on physical servers and virtualized platform. In the virtualized platform, we will execute and we will note down the performance characteristics. After getting the performance characteristics, based upon those, we will form different SLAs. Once SLAs are formed, by considering SLOs and the cost, we will frame several policies, like business policies, operational policies, provisional policies. Once these all policies are framed, then onboarding activity is completed. Okay, now we will see in the diagram the same thing. Here you see, this is a feasibility study. We have seen feasibility analysis. After that, application packaging, then performance analysis, then identify several SLAs. Once SLAs are acceptable, then it will come here. Now we will form, what will form policies. What are the types of policies? Business policy, operational policy, provisioning policy. These kind of policies we will form for each SLA. Validated policies with respect to SLAs, whether these are satisfying the SLA which were agreed between service customer or the service consumer and service provider, whether these policies are meeting the requirements of SLA or not, we will be checking. If it is validated, that means according to SLA only these policies were made, then we will go to the next one. Otherwise, we will form again other policy, other set of policies which will in order to meet SLAs. Is it clear, ma? Onboarding activity. This is actually core operation that we perform in SLA management. Is it clear? Yes. Yes, Shrestha. Yes, Praneeth.
Yes, sir.
Are you there? Yeah. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the second phase in SLA management, that is onboarding. Actually, the core part of SLA management will come under this onboarding only. Next, coming to pre-production, the name itself indicating before going to the actual environment, we will be establishing a simulated environment where we will deploy the user application. Whether it is satisfying all the requirements, functional requirements and performance requirement or not, we will be checking. That is in pre-production. After that, we will be having the fourth phase called production phase, where we will be executing or deploying a user application in the actual environment that is available to the user directly. In the user environment, we will be deploying. Then whether SLA is violation happened or not. If it is violated, then repeated SLA violation. Then we will be going to the onboarding activity. Onboarding activity, where we will readjust these policies and again come back to pre-production and production, like this. If SLA is not violated, then customer request for a new or modification, whether these SLAs are fine for customer or not, we will check. If any new modification needed by the customer, that can be done. Again, we have to go to onboarding activity. This is what the production. Next, finally, cease in the sense like once everything done, then we can say this SLA we have framed properly and everything, and then we can continue our production. Once the request for the service is over, then we have to roll back the application from the production environment, and whatever the files generated over the period of time, those have to be transferred to customer. Then application cease. These are the steps in the last phase, cease. Just we have to roll back the application from production environment. Then we have to transfer the files to the customer. Then application cease. These are the 5 phases in SLA management. And one one point I have to mention. What is onboarding actually? Here onboarding we are saying, right? There is a definition in one line. Yeah, moving an application to the MSP's hosting platform is called onboarding. Okay, moving an application to the MSP's hosting platform. MSP is nothing but managed service providers hosting platform is nothing but onboarding. This onboarding consists of several steps. Of course, we have seen. Then finally, after agreeing to the policies against SLA, we'll go to pre-production where we'll be having simulated production environment. We can validate against SLA. Then we will go to actual production. That is, the application is made accessible to its end users under agreed SLA. Afterwards, we will perform whatever the user production, in the sense that application is available to end users. So automatically it will come into physical real-time existence. Afterwards, if after certain period of time, the customer or the consumer doesn't want to continue, then termination needs to be taken place. In the termination or cease phase, what we will do, whatever the files we have with the service provider, those all have to be transferred to customer, then application can be ceased. This is what the final phase called termination or cease. Is it clear, ma? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So entirely whatever the discussion we have made, that is available in the form of flowchart. Feasibility analysis coming to then coming to onboarding, which is an actual part of SLA management. Then pre-production and production, followed by cease. These are the steps in SLA management in cloud. Yeah. You can enter your rule number.